going to make some little toadstools. Now I've got, again, some gum paste, flour paste or modelling paste. You can use normal fondant. I just find it easier to use the modelling paste. Now I've dyed mine a very, very pale brown, but you might want to prefer to keep it white even. And I'm just gonna take a ball of it, and what I'm gonna do is between my hands roll it at one side so it kind of becomes a little bit of a cone shape like that. And I'm gonna push the bottom of it onto my board so that it's flat at the bottom to hold it up, like so. Now, don't worry if they're not perfectly straight, because with the little toadstools, you can have them leaning to one side, the other side, backwards, forwards, or straight up, entirely up to you. So, you do your base, choose a colour for the top. It's entirely up to you what colour you want to use. For this one, I'm going to use pink. And you can make them all different sort of heights and sizes. And I'm just taking a little bit more of that original colour that we used, and I've rolled it into a ball. And what I'm going to do is flatten it a little bit, like so. And again, I'm not worried about keeping it a perfect circular shape. Then what I'm going to do is now taking this larger ball of my pink, I'm going to sit it on the top, and I'm going to start to push it so it just goes to over the edge. Now if you're doing really small ones, you might want to just use the darker colour rather than worrying about the lighter one underneath, because you'll find the smaller they are, the less likely you are to see the underside of the toadstool. So at the moment you'll see mine's quite a tall kind of cone shape that I've created. Now you can keep it quite tall if you prefer, you can flatten it a little bit if you want it to be shorter and wider. But for this one I think I'm going to keep it with a little bit of height. So I'm just going to ever so lightly with my finger press into the centre to create an ever so slight indentation, not much of one. Now, again, depending on the size of it, it will depend how much detail you want, but I'm going to just with a modelling tool run some little lines from the centre outwards, just in case you get to see the underside of my mushroom or toadstool, like that. Now, depending on the size, you'll find that you might need to let it dry a little bit. So if you're doing quite a big one, and the top bit is quite heavy, you might find that this bends backwards and forwards when you try to add the top. So if it is too heavy, let them dry a little bit for a few hours or even overnight before putting them together. Okay, so I'm going to just indent mine just a tiny bit more, and what I'm going to do is just put a bit of water in the centre like that, and I'm going to put that on top of my pale brown bit. So you can't see it very well while it is stood on the board, but that's what it will look like. And like I say, don't worry if it tilts slightly to one side. Mine might lean with it being a little bit heavy at the moment for the stalk. Now when you've done that, you can leave it plain if you want, or if you prefer you can add some little dots. And I tend to paint my dots on if you want them really small. If you want them a little bit bigger, you can just roll bits of fondant and stick them on in little balls. But I'm taking some of my powdered paint, mixing it with a little bit of water, and I'm literally just gonna paint on some little dots. And I'm not worrying too much about them being perfect circular shapes, as they wouldn't be on a toadstool anyway. So doing some bigger, some smaller ones. And you're going to do that till you've covered the top. And I tend to do them smaller the further out that I go with it. If you want to use a smaller brush than me, again, that's fine. It'll give you more accurate shapes. Okay. So that's what it would look like. I'm hoping the camera isn't going too fuzzy today. I'm not very good with setting it up, unfortunately, so sometimes things end up a little bit blurry. Now you can do them in a variety of shapes and sizes. Well, not different shapes, but sort of tall ones, short ones, fat ones. So I'll just leave the other one out of the way to dry. So I'm going to do a few smaller ones now so you can see. So same again, small ball, rolled like that. And we'll just do a couple. And it is nice if you get them all different sizes and you have some leaning to one side. And again, because these ones are going to be a bit smaller, I'm going to take a bit of fondant. Again, just a ball of it, and I'm just going to squash it a little bit. This one's a bit dry, I think. Trying to squash it so that it's slightly thicker at the top, so just pressing around the edges like that. And again, you're just going to stick it on the top of your little stalk like that. Now you might find mine wobble about a little bit. If you've got more time than me, let them set. And again, you can stick them on with a bit of water. Oops, well, mine have fallen over. You can make them directly on a cake if you are putting them on a cake. You don't have to make them separately, but I find if you've made them separately, you can dry them and then position them exactly where you want them to go on a cake. Because these ones are quite small, I'm going to leave these ones without the little dots on, but you can still add the dots. So I'm just trying to get a variety of different colours, all in some little pastel colours. Just going to stick that on top like that. Ooh. So stick yours together. I haven't put any water on mine, so mine haven't been stuck together at the moment. I don't know if you can see them very well from there, but I'll put a picture up at the end so you can see what they look like. But very simple, easy to do, so just a quick one for you. Thank you for watching. If you do like these videos, please subscribe to my channel and also check out my cakes at Zoes Fancy Cakes on Facebook.